What is going on, everybody? Happy Friday. It is your observer Lineman Uche. Nwaneri here. Welcome to Lineman Life Live. TGIF. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Got a busy day, busy show today. We're going to have a number of different topics we'll talk about here. Well, maybe not a number of different topics, but a number of different stories that we're going to be getting into here today. We got already, we got a super chat from RC from NYC. What's up, brother? RC says, what's up, Uche? What's up, chat? TGIF. New York sports radio callers have been very divisive on the NFL vax issue. Even co-hosts are going after each other. Yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about pretty much today. I mean, we're going to go through a couple of different things, of course, because there are some big stories to talk about. I mean, for instance, city of Cleveland has decided that they have found their new name for the Cleveland Indians. The MLB team will no longer be called that. Obviously, that's been something that's been talked about now for a little while. And they chose to go with the name the Guardians. So we're going to start off and just kind of go and look at that real quick. Obviously there's not a ton to really talk about with it, but it's worth it that we take a look, see what they came up with. It's an interesting switch, I would say. Oh, shoot. All right. Clicked the wrong thing. So, it's an interesting logo. The Guardians, that's the new name for the Cleveland baseball team. They won't be a generic team name like the Washington football team was last year, but they are switching to this new look from the old mascot of the Indian caricature that they had before. And, people, it's funny to me. There's really very few things that you find a lot of consensus about nowadays when it comes to public opinion on virtually everything. So, I've seen people who said this is a terrible logo. I've seen people who said it's a good logo. I've seen people who said it's a terrible name change. I'll be honest, I don't care that much because I'm not a big baseball cat. And I, was the old logo kind of iconic? I mean, from a certain perspective, I guess. I mean, it's something that's been, it's a well-known logo when you see it, the old Indian logo. But as we all know, change is inevitable. And in the society that we're in today, people just, people don't see that as an accurate interpretation of the Native American. Which, do we want to get mad over that? Is it really worth it to get mad over that? I mean, let's be real. They're not, a lot of people call them Indians, but they're not Indians. They're not Indians. There is nothing about Native Americans that is in any way associable, if that's a word, with West Indies native indigenous peoples, which would be considered Indians. Those were Indians. Christopher Columbus thought he was in the West Indies when he found North America. He did not think he was in North America. So he called them Indians. So, at the outset, at the very least, it was an incorrect identification of what they technically were. If you're going to think about anything at all, or allow anything at all to shape your reaction emotionally, let it be that. He was just wrong in what he called them. I don't think that that's something that people should be pissed about, that they changed it from Indians to Guardians. Of course there's going to be, that overzealous part of society that'll harp on You know, the insensitivity, the insensitive nature of it, the race situation there, the racial tension of it. Of course, there's always going to be those. It's never not going to be those. People, please keep it out of your mind and think that there will ever be anything that is not going to have any kind of racial tension to it when you're talking about these types of situations with these long, you know, these decades and decades long, you know, IPs, I guess, because of their logos. So they're trademarked. But, you know, when you're talking about these teams that have been around forever, you're going to have that. And as time moves forward, that shit is going to change. It's not going to stay the same. But at least in this situation, it makes sense to change the name because technically it's incorrect because they're not Indians. So, you know, I think that the logo is just a logo. I mean, I can see a little inspiration because of them being the Guardians, which I think there's another picture here. That's one of the jerseys I guess they're going to wear. That's the logo. That's another jersey. And then that's the old one. They went to the sea. But I thought the one thing I'll say about this is that this shit looks like something that I did in fucking middle school when I was trying to figure out how to do graffiti art. Like, that's the thing that I see on this where I'm like, this shit they need to do something with this artwork here. Cause this is not of professional grade in terms of the font and how they used it. But I'm also not surprised because this is something coming out of the Midwest. This is a Cleveland. So, yeah, doesn't really surprise me. They got the Browns. They got the Guardians. What else they got in Cleveland? Any other teams? No, that's it. I don't even know if they got a hockey team. I don't know. But, you know, the font is weird. The font is weird. The logo actually is the best part of this to me. The logo is the best part. Because I see a little, when you say Guardians, you know, I watched, there's a video that we'll look at real quick after this. When you say Guardians, this is kind of the wings on the back of the helmet, you know, the Olympian gods, and then the wings on the back of shoes. Like, it feels that fits. I can get a little bit of that majestic feel from that. But they did have a video also that came out, I believe. Yeah, right here. This is a video that they had as well.
Our ironed out past.
We'll let it run.
I think it's the future from our ironed out past.
It's Tom Hanks doing the narrating. Is Tom Hanks from Ohio? Is he from Cleveland? I don't think so. But shoot, let's watch it.
We are a city of fire and water, of trees and towers, built through generations of blue collars.
Yeah, the Cavs are in Cleveland too. That's how easily you can forget about the Cleveland Cavaliers when they ain't got LeBron James on them. Just so you know. I don't even remember that they're a team in the NBA anymore.
And the brightest scholars and all of those who have worked harder. We hold tight to our roots and set our sights on tomorrow. And this is our team that has stood with our city for more than a century, from Old Municipal to the corner of Carnegie. A team that has seen its own progress and prosperity. Its history flows like the river through the heart of this city. A history that has given us miraculous moments. Moments that spanned years and others 22 games.
When's the last time Cleveland won? When's the last time they won a championship in baseball? Like, who knows that? I have no idea. Like, I know that they had a couple of. Was that like the early '90s? Maybe. I know that because the Braves. Sometimes I get the Braves and Cleveland confused. Atlanta and Cleveland confused before I lived out in Atlanta. Anyways, too much chatter. Here we go.
It broke barriers and moments that broke hearts. Moments that prove this is more than a game. We remember those moments as we move forward with change. You see, it has always been Cleveland that's the best part of our name.
what I'm talking about right there. Those Guardians. I think that's what one of the I guess that's the motivation for the new logo. And for the just the new name, I guess, But it's also in the Midwest. No disrespect to anybody who's watching who's from the Midwest, but fuck the Midwest. I'll never live there. Ever.
But make burned and
Hell no. I'm not a fan of the font. I think that's the part that kind of I can't get past that part. The font's just not me. The font's not me. But the Guardians, the whole logo right there, I think that's okay. I'm not mad at that. But Ohio is the Midwest. Who said that? Bird Gang? Ohio is the Midwest, my friend. I went to college in the Midwest. It's the Midwest. And look, there's great people in the Midwest. I had great times when I was at college in the Midwest. But it's a barren wasteland with nothing laying around anywhere except for empty fields and towns with one street light. Barely ever sun. Like when the wintertime hits, there's no sun. It's like people just look, everybody looks pale as hell. It's weird. And it's cold for like 6 months out of the year. Like, come on. 6 months out of the year, it's cold out there. Third largest city in the country. Yeah, well, I tell you one thing. Everybody who lives there is from there. Yes, sir. Anyways, moving on. The NFL, man, this is turning into this is getting wild now. The NFL, first casualty of the NFL vaccination rules is a coach. It's a coach. Rick Dennison out as Minnesota Vikings assistant after refusing COVID-19 vaccine, sources say. Woo! I mean, this is another Midwest team. Eagan, Minnesota. After refusing to receive a vaccine for COVID-19, Rick Dennison is out as a Minnesota Vikings assistant coach, sources told ESPN. Dennison has served as the Vikings O-line coach. O-line? I mean, we are some badasses, though. The O-line coach, run game coordinator the past 2 seasons, and that's been the best part of their offense, if we're being real. In a statement Friday, the Vikings said they were still in discussions with Dennison about the league's COVID-19 protocols. So what's the issue here? If they're still in discussions, how is he out? See, that's where you got to read. You got to read and comprehend. Read and comprehend and actually decipher what is being told to you, because they say he's out in the headline, but if you're reading it, he's in discussions about the league's COVID-19 protocols. Another coach in the league, New England Patriots coach, co-offensive line coach, O-line. What's going on? I mean, yeah, we do our shit, but I mean, that's like the most cohesive unit on the field. Everybody working for everybody else. Gotta stick together, guys. Shit. Another coach in the league, New England Patriots co-offensive line coach Cole Popovich, also won't be with his team in 2021 in a decision related to the COVID-19 vaccine. NFL guidelines, league sources confirmed to ESPN. The vaccine is required for all Tier 1 staff, including coaches, front office executives, equipment managers, and scouts. There's a reason for that. And I actually did not know that was a requirement, but I already know why it's required. I already know why. I mean, without even knowing, I was actually corrected on that on Twitter because I told somebody that it wasn't required when it actually was. So I was corrected, and just want you guys to know I was wrong on that. The vaccine is required for all Tier 1 staff, including coaches, blah, 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 blah. Players are not required to receive the COVID-19 vaccine, but will face strict protocols during training camp and throughout the season that vaccinated players will be able to forego. In a memo released by the league this summer, the NFL said any unvaccinated Tier 1 staff member must provide a valid religious or medical reason for not receiving the vaccine. Losing Tier 1 status prohibits coaches from being on the field and in meeting rooms and having direct interaction with players. Okay, so he's not going to be able to deal with the players at all. He's not going to be able to be around the players at all, which makes your job as a coach very hard, especially as an offensive line coach. That would practically make your job impossible if you can't interact with the O-line, which is absolutely necessary to actually coach. Then you'll be in the office. You're basically getting a demotion. That's basically what it amounts to. I don't know if that's how it is as far as pay goes, but I can imagine any coach, especially on the offensive line coach is a different coach than every coach on the team. Mainly because offensive line coach, and I'm not saying the other positions don't have this, but with the offensive line, it's a little bit different. That O-line, that connection that you have with your offensive line coach is like literally for life. Like you're going to always talk to your O-line coach. I still talk to my O-line coach. He's with the Chiefs. I still talk to him to this day. Because, he taught me everything I know about football. He really did. And then my teammates as well. You learn from your teammates, you learn from your veterans and stuff. But that connection is real tight and real, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not something that is easily, something that can be severed easily. So for a coach to like not to walk away from it, that is going to affect that offensive line drastically because it's not the same being coached on by the head O-line coach as say like the assistant. So if the assistant gets moved up, he's got the information basically that the head O-line coach has, but he doesn't have the nuance. And a lot of times for the good O-line coaches, especially ones who played before, the experience to actually like dig into the nuance of your positions, techniques, and the things that can help you in more specific situations that you won't see from someone who hasn't had the time to be able to like learn about the litany of different situations that can come up that you don't have any like precedence for or very little precedence for on the field. It's just weird. There's things that happen on the field that if you ain't played it or if you ain't seen it and coached it multiple times, you wouldn't, as a layman, you wouldn't know how to explain, you wouldn't know how to teach or correct in those situations all the times. So anyways, let's see. The Vikings noted in their statement that Dennison does not have a vaccination exemption. Phil Rauscher has been promoted from assistant offensive line coach to fill Dennison's position, sources told ESPN. The Vikings also hired Ben Steele, who had recently been hired by Auburn as a special teams analyst to fill the position Rauscher held since 2019. So they went and got a fucking special teams analyst to come do assistant O-line work? They just needed to fill a spot. Dennison's departure comes at a time of transition for the Vikings offense, which will be guided by first-year offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak. Kubiak, 34, was promoted to fill the role his father, Gary, I was just about to say, it sounds like Gary Kubiak, held in Minnesota during the 2020 season. With 27 years of NFL coaching experience, Dennison was considered a vital piece in helping bridge the gap for the young Kubiak, given his experience calling run plays and knowledge of the scheme the Vikings have used since 2019. See, there you go. That is one of the reasons why the offensive line coach is such a huge part of the offensive strategy. Even when I was in Jacksonville, Like a lot of times, with Andy Heck as our offensive line coach, a lot of times Jack Del Rio, Gus went with him, Mike Mularkey, like these cats would the offense coordinators, Dirk Cutter, they would defer to Andy on what he wanted to run in certain scenarios because he practically understood the schemes better than the offense coordinator did. So it was, and Dirk Cutter was a damn good offensive coordinator in Jacksonville. So shout out Dirk Cutter. But yeah, that's going to affect the team like severely. The Vikings were one of the league's prominent running teams in 2020 behind Dalvin Cook, who became the first Minnesota player to rush for at least 1,500 yards and 50 touchdowns in a season. Cook was responsible for 30.5% of Viking scrimmage yards, second highest rate in the NFL behind Tennessee's Derrick Henry, according to ESPN. In New England, Popovich coached with the Patriots through the spring, and his on-field presence stood out in part as he was the only staffer to wear a mask during practice. Popovich, who is distantly related to longtime San Antonio Spurs Greg Popovich. Damn, I was thinking the same thing there too. I'm like, Popovich. I mean, there's only one other Popovich I know. Distantly related, huh? My cousins, down the line. But said in September that he has never met him, was set to enter his seventh season with the Patriots. In 2020, he had shared the offensive line duties with longtime former Youngstown State offensive line coach Carmen Bracillo, who is now expected to take on more of a leading role. The Boston Globe first reported Popovich would be coaching with the Patriots in 2021. Let's see here. Dennison 63, okay, that's just his history. He's been at Denver, Houston, Baltimore, all good running teams in those times too. Holy crap. Houston, yep. That's when they had Arian Foster. 2014 Baltimore, that's when they had what's his name? Forget his name. Rosher is entering his seventh season as a coach in the NFL after joining from the Vikings 2020. Okay, all this stuff is extra stuff there. So, man, not sure how I should feel about this. I mean, the reason why, it seems to me, which I'm pretty sure I'm dead on about this, the reason why the NFL is requiring coaches in their tier 1 status to be vaccinated is because they don't want one of those coaches getting infected and infected a player on the roster who may not be vaccinated. That's the fear, because if it is, that's a 10-day drop. And if the NFL doesn't allow you to actually pick up a player to fill that roster spot, then you're literally down a roster spot. You can't fill it up. So if it's an unvaccinated player who is infected by an unvaccinated coach, then you lose your coach and you lose your player. And likely, if they're on a football field, they're in vicinity, bodies are smashing into each other, bodies even in practice. Even though it's not 100%, it's still very fast paced. So it's just a domino effect, and no team wants to deal with the domino effect. Look, for all the divisiveness that there is between, because it's split. I mean, me and one of my former teammates, we were talking about this just yesterday, and we had different views on it. And it was, we weren't arguing, but we were just debating, talking our points. But at the end of the day, we both know that the NFL is not playing about this season. They're not going to allow themselves to have to move games around. And if they have to, it is going to be on the team that had the outbreak if it was an unvaccinated player. And with that being said, the teams now are able to rearrange their protocols on where their priority is going to stand, and it's going to stand with the players on the field. So they're not going to allow a coach to be any coach who's not vaccinated. They're not going to allow them around any players, period, because all it takes is one time, and then you might lose. You could potentially lose your all your starters. If they're not, if half of them aren't vaccinated, half of them might be gone. And how many and which ones are going to be stars? I know one who will be a star, and if he goes down for 10 days, that's an L for that week for this team. And that team, of course, the Dallas Cowboys. Because when asked, Dak Prescott, look, let me tell y'all something. Sometimes you just say no comment and move on. Sometimes when you're in a situation where they got you in a corner and they ask you a question that you knew was coming, sometimes it's just better to just say no comment and move on. Dak Prescott, no comment. That's all you had to say. But instead, Dak Prescott decided he thought he was going to be smart. I don't know who he been listening to. But when asked if he is vaccinated, Cowboys' Dak Prescott said, I don't necessarily think that's exactly important. I think that's HIPAA. God damn, my boy. God damn, my boy. Come on, man. Use your noggin. That is not HIPAA. That is not how HIPAA works. It's just not. I understand what he's trying to say, and I don't disagree with it. But if you're gonna try and dunk on the motherfucker, then dunk with both hands, bro. Dunk with both hands. HIPAA has nothing to do with you personally telling someone whether or not you're vaccinated. Now, where do I agree with him on this? I agree that it ain't your business if a person is or not. Worry about you. That I do agree with. I don't think that we need to be asking people in public space like this. I don't think we should be asking the athletes whether or not they're vaccinated. I don't think it matters to ask, to be honest. I don't think it matters. Because if he just wants you to get off his fucking back, he's going to say, yeah, I'm vaccinated, and move on. Or he's just going to say, no, or they're going to say this shit, something like that. Or just no. Like, what does it matter? At this point, anybody can say whatever they want. It's pointless to even ask it at this point. You either got it or you don't. That's what it boils down to. I mean, you got it or you don't. And if he doesn't, then hey, good luck throughout the season. I hope that you don't, that I don't wish that he's infected with COVID at all. But if you do get infected, you're fucking your team. You will fuck your team. That's what the rules are. So Dak Prescott decided he wanted to say that, and it's become, the thing that everybody's talking about now is HIPAA. Let's take a look at HIPAA. This is HIPAA, folks.
Your health information, your rights. Whether your health information is stored on paper or electronically, you have the right to keep it private. Those rights are protected under a law known as HIPAA, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. HIPAA gives you important rights. First off, you have the right to see or get a copy of your medical records. Sometimes you might not be able to see certain parts of the full record, but you always have the right to ask. If you find a mistake in your record, you have the right to request to have it corrected. If you disagree with your doctor or health plan about certain information in your record, you have a right to submit a written statement of disagreement that will be kept with your record. You also have the right to know how your health information is used and shared. Now, your provider is allowed to share your information for certain reasons without asking you first, like when your doctors work together to determine how to best treat you when you're sick, or to report the flu when it's in your area. But in general, your providers can't give information to an employer, for example, without your permission. And if you'd like to know who has seen your health information, you have the right to get a report. That's called an accounting of disclosures. HIPAA gives you the right to say how you want to be contacted. For example, you can tell your provider what phone number they should call to contact you and whether they can leave a message. HIPAA also gives you the right to request that your information not be shared with certain people or organizations. All these rights are spelled out in the Notice of Privacy Practices, which is usually given to you or posted at your doctor's office or hospital. Be sure to read this notice carefully. It lets you know exactly how your information will be used and shared, and how your rights are being protected. And lastly, if you think any of these rights have been violated, you have the right to file a complaint. We're serious about working with you to protect your health information. Know your rights. To get started, just visit the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Office for Civil Rights at hhs.gov/OCR.
HIPAA explained. So please, 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 please stop saying HIPAA if someone asks you about your status, athletes. Please, it's not HIPAA. I understand what you mean, but that's not HIPAA. It's not HIPAA. Woo! Now, the funny thing about this, and this is what's ironic about the whole situation, is that, and this is this is not me knocking on Dak Prescott, but this is the irony in which understanding a situation and understanding how your information is used gives you a little bit more perspective on how to handle situations like this. The NFL violates your HIPAA rights, technically speaking, every Wednesday of the NFL season when they release an injury report. That injury report says what's medically wrong with you, what are the chances that you're going to be available to play for the week, and throughout the week they're updated, and your status can go from out, doubtful, questionable, probable, playing. Your HIPAA rights get violated every time you talk about a team member, a team staff member like the head coach or the team trainer talks about your health status. Now, I do believe also in your contract you are waiving that right when you sign to be a part of the team, but nonetheless, if there was ever an example of your rights being actually violated, that would be it. You give them the authorization to actually talk about your injury. So generally, you don't have HIPAA rights as an athlete in the football realm. Now, outside of that, when you go see your doctor, yes, you do. But in the NFL, you don't. So, just say you don't want to talk about that. Just say no comment and move on. You tried to be too smart here. You tried to be too smart, and it bit you in the ass. Because now I don't care, honestly, but it does. You do look kind of dumb if you are confusing that after, there has been some discussion about how that is not how HIPAA works. But hey, hope he has a good season. I hope that it's healthy. I mean, he's on a great comeback journey from his injury last year, and he got a big payday. So now ain't no excuses, homie. You know what Jerry expect. What are you guys talking about in the chat? Let's see here. Not a fan of forcing people to do things, but it's a job. If that's your job policy, do it or don't work for them. And that's exactly what it is. Really, it's not like it's complicated to a certain extent, but at the end of the day, it's your job. Do you want to do your job? Do you want to be able to do your job? Do you want to give yourself the best chance of doing your job without having to potentially harm the entire franchise through a chain of events that could cause a situation where a lot of main players cannot play in games? It's your job. What you want to do? They can get the money back from you somehow. You know what I mean? if it's going to be an issue. So that's where, you know, at least in the football world, there's a decision to be made. Like, it's not the same for everybody else. Everybody else, hey, you know what I mean? Like, it's your choice what you want to do, whether you want to get the vaccine or not. But in football, that's just not, they don't have, it's not like they're being forced, but it's going to be hell to pay. If you don't, you're going to be going through a lot of annoying things that are going to take up a lot of your time. It's going to stretch out your day to be even longer than it already is. So, you know, you're either going to do it and not complain, because the moment you complain, you know what the counters are going to be. Get the vaccine, you won't have to do it. So you either do it with your head down, don't say nothing, just don't complain, don't cry about nothing, or get the vaccine and go and get back to business. Get back to the normal, you know, the normal everyday shit that everybody's been trying to get back to, apparently. Let's see. But is that not the same logic with players infecting other players? I don't know what that means. I understand the player's point of view, and they do have the right to their privacy, but the problem is that this is their job. You're being paid to do. At the end of the day, this is a business. Yeah, exactly. Look, you know, if you want to blame anybody for requirements on, if you want to blame anything for requirements on being vaccinated as an employee, which is surely going to be like, that's coming up. That's what's next. Because, I mean, look, these are private entities, and they're looking at this like, okay, so the government will not tell the citizens that they have to wear a mask to work, or they're giving them options, and whether or not they want to wear it, if they're vaccinated, they can or they can't, whatever. You know, we've got all of this mishmash here, right? But these private companies are going to be like, nah, it's either, because we want our money. We want to make our bread. So if you coming into our stores or our establishment or doing, you know, any kind of, you know, brick and mortar business with us, if you in the building, you got to be vaccinated. They're going to start doing that. They're going to start doing that. Because, hey, if Walmart says if you ain't vaccinated, you can't come in, that's across the country, what's going to happen? What y'all gonna storm? Is people gonna storm Walmart? No, you're gonna go get vaccinated. That's what's gonna happen. If grocery stores start doing that, it's gonna be, you're gonna go get vaccinated. They got to make their money, so they're gonna make sure that they get that money in the door. And if you want to blame anything for that kind of scenario, then blame capitalism, because that's what this shit is all at the root of this. Everything is based on being able to get their money. All of this confusion and lack of decisiveness from the public, they just gonna make it one way for them. So you either gonna get you some food for the week or not. And that ain't got nothing to do with the government. That's private entities they have the freedom to make that decision. That's part of capitalism and the free market. So that's where it gets to a point where you're going to have to be vaccinated. It's because they're not going to, these corporations ain't going to play that game, because they know that they got what you want. That's what it boils down to. Let's see here. If money wasn't involved with the vaccines, I would love to see how many people would get it. Only reason they get it is because they have no other option. If money wasn't involved with the vaccine, well, the vaccine is free. The vaccine is free, man. Vaccine is free. I don't really get that. It's the same with healthcare workers. Take the shot or work elsewhere. Simple as that. That's what it's going to be, man. Like, I think that a lot of people, and look, this is not me this is not me talking down on people, and you know, I don't want it to come off that way, but I think a lot of people got it really fucking confused with what truly a free country means, because it's not really truly free. Like, don't get it twisted. This is a free country in sentiment. You can do whatever you want. You can. But that doesn't mean that you're going to like how it goes after you do it. That doesn't mean that it's going to be all smooth and gravy. You don't have to get vaccinated. You don't have to get vaccinated. You don't. You truly don't. But if you can't participate in society because you don't want to, then that's on you. That's really what it boils down to. It's going to come down to whether or not people are willing to think practically or stand by their principles in their mind and live their life and adapt their life to that. Because at a point, it's going to be one or the other. You're not going to be able to just, you can do what you want, but you are, there is a social agreement, that there is a societal agreement that is made in order for you to actually operate in society. And it is one for all. Like, it's all for one, like everybody's in the shit together. So what benefits the greater will always supersede what benefits your personal convenience. Like, it's just not, that's how it works. That's how this shit works. I just don't see where, like, people, like, you know, and I'm trying to connect this mainly with football, but, you know, if you want to be able to continue to play football in a manner that allows you to focus on playing football, then your best bet is to get vaccinated. Because if you don't, you're going to be worn out by the protocols while you see everyone else moving forward at relatively smooth pace. You will begin to lose step. You will. It's going to happen. It's almost like hitting a rookie wall. When I was a rookie in the NFL, you know, in college you had like 10, 12 games, maybe 14 games total, depending on your schedule. You had like 10 to 12 games at the very most. So you had a championship, 10 games and a championship game and a bowl game. By week 10 in the NFL season, my rookie year, I hit a wall. Like, mentally, physically, I became useless. I became useless. I became useless. I didn't answer questions during meetings right. I didn't know what the hell I was looking at on the screen. My mind had lost all, like, had been sapped of all its energy and attention towards just learning everything, because it's a lot of information that you got to be able to, like, absorb and hold on to. So by week 8, when my body thought that football season was supposed to be over, like the year before in college, week 8, week 10 hit, I hit that wall and I was done. There was nothing. I was like, I remember I started the very last game of the regular season and I was just running. I didn't know where the hell I was going. I didn't know who I was blocking. I just run and punt and hit somebody. Had no clue. Because even then, it was hard to, like, get my mental, get myself in a mental space where I could focus and be efficient. Now, throw a COVID protocol on top of that. There's nothing. You're going to lose your juice. Even if you're a vet, you're going to lose your juice at a certain point in the season, if you have to deal with that. Who wants to deal with that? So that's where I look at it and I say, you know, in the football world, this is really like, bruh, you're going to be living a very uncomfortable life if you don't. You're going to have to get up earlier than everybody else and go in to get tested. You're going to have to test when you come off the field every time. So when you go out for a walkthrough, before lunch, test. When you come back from that walkthrough, test. When you go out for practice, test. When you come back from practice, test. Like, who the hell wants to do that? That's crazy. Whew. Let's see here. Let's see here. It says, one of you guys says, I know someone already said this, but if everyone else is already vaccinated and one or two players aren't, Isn't everyone else in the locker room protected? Yes. I think there's a threshold. I'm not exactly sure what the percentage is. I think it was like 85%. I think. Don't quote me on that. I don't know if that's totally true. But I think I saw that number somewhere. I don't know if that's what the threshold is for every NFL team. But they're supposed to so if you have, let's say there's only 2 players on the team who are unvaccinated. If those guys get infected, they're out for 10 days. And that's that. That's it. Now, if they infect other players, which is not, which can happen, but it's not likely. And if it does happen, you're not going to get, you're more likely to be asymptomatic than to be, than to fall sick or have any severe symptoms. So if an unvaccinated player tests positive and then has and in that infects a vaccinated player, which actually I would say is a much higher chance, probably in football, because of the proximity that players will be with each other throughout the entire day. It's not like you're going into the store and then coming out, so you're only around people for like 20 minutes. You're literally around each other in close proximity for 3 hours out of the day, touching each other, pushing each other, running into each other, breathing all over each other with helmets clanging, even if unintentional or unintentionally. Like, there's probably going to be a lot of players who are vaccinated who will be infected too, which will then put them in a protocol where they'll have to test negative 2 times in 24 hours, I believe, 24 hours apart. But even in that situation, you're losing those players. What if it happens on a Friday? If it happens on a Friday, then you lose that player for the game. What if it's Dak Prescott? You lose him for the game, and that's even if he's vaccinated. So there's a chance for it to hurt the team, period. Which is kind of a point in why the players should get vaccinated, because it would be harder for them to catch it outside of the facilities if they're vaccinated than it would be if you have unvaccinated and vaccinated players on the field at the same time in close proximity for hours, breathing, sweating, hitting each other. That creates the domino effect where you could lose a whole team even when they're vaccinated. So see, that's the danger of it, because it's much easier for the unvaccinated player to leave the facility, go home, walk into a store and catch it, or have a family member over and catch it. That's much easier that's a much easier thing to happen to the unvaccinated player. He won't know he has it. He'll come to the locker room on Wednesday, practice, which is the heaviest practice day, the longest practice day, the day where you're literally in the locker room and in the training room and on the practice field for 12, 13 hours total. So you're going to be around cats the entire day on Wednesday, not knowing you got infected by your uncle who came over to drop off your shoes that you left at the cookout the week before. He's gonna infect you. You're gonna infect Dak Prescott, who's, let's say Dak is vaccinated. Dak is vaccinated, but he gets infected because you're a defensive end rushing off the edge and you're around him almost every play at some point, at multiple points throughout practice. Y'all are standing next to each other and you telling him a joke while you're drinking your Gatorade with your helmet off, not knowing you're infected, and you have billions on billions of viral load coming out your mouth. He gets infected. He don't find out till Saturday because he starts getting a little bit feverish, but not anything crazy, but I feel feverish just a little bit. So what's the first thing they're going to do? Test him for COVID. Boom. He's positive. Dak's done. He'll be back. If it happens on Saturday, maybe he's back by Tuesday. Maybe he's back by Monday. But because he's down, he's out. You lose him for the game. Now, why did he test positive and he's vaccinated? Because even though You have virtually no viral load if you as he was infected because of his vaccination. He has a very low viral count. The COVID test just tests for if you have any viral count at all. So you test and you come up positive for viral count, even if it's insignificant, like small, not enough for him to even like spread it, which is what the vaccine does. It keeps it from keeps that viral load from building up like it does in an unvaccinated person, so that you can spread it as you walk around. That's where the nuance of all this becomes integral to the teams and them being able to operate in a consistent fashion. Because now Dak Prescott, who isn't even showing symptoms at all, is positive and he cannot play on Sunday. And on Monday, he's negative. So it's like we just lost him for like 48 hours, 24 hours. So whose fault is that? The fucking dude who's unvaccinated. Because if he was vaccinated and his uncle came over and he did infect him, his viral load would be so small that he wouldn't infect Dak Prescott during practice. That is how this whole thing falls apart for the NFL if they allow groups of uninfected or of unvaccinated players to be able to roam the city and kick it and do whatever they want because they grown men and go somewhere and catch it and then bring it back to the team. That's the problem, is that it will knock out, it will likely knock a player out who we can't afford to have knocked out. So this is where all of the economics of the thing come together, because that's money that can't play. Let's just flip it around. Let's say he's unvaccinated. Well, shit, he might be down for 2 weeks. Let's say he has a severe case, because there's a 24-year-old nurse who just died last week, who didn't believe in the vaccine. She a nurse. She dead. There's a 29-year-old dude. He just had a double lung transplant. He wish he got the vaccine. But there's also a cat who I just saw on a news report who, hell, he was in the hospital for 9 days and he says he still won't get the vaccine. I'm like, come on, man. Where are we with this shit? Like, who are you worried about? You or everybody when it comes to the general health of the public? So that's kind of the thing with the football side of this. That's where I'm just laying it out to you on a board so you can see that this can turn into a big problem for any NFL team really fucking fast and at the wrong time, because you won't even find out until it's too close to the game to do anything. And the NFL will not help you. That's what they said. The NFL said, we are not going to help your ass. You fucked that up. That's on you. We did it last year. We took care of everything. We switched the game around. We moved. You know what I'm saying? Like, and even then, you still had a disaster situation with Denver. What if that was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and not Denver? When Tampa Bay was 7-5. Tom Brady's 40. He gets infected with COVID. And he's not at that time. He's probably, there's a good chance he's down a couple weeks. Good chance. Good chance. So, that's where, when I talk about, my perspective is always based on logic. I look at it as a cause and effect situation. I don't care about your politics. I don't care about, all the extra chitter chatter around this shit. I look at it from a very simple standpoint. How does it affect the team? What are the percentages that this could affect the team in a negative way? Well, if there is, let's say there's one unvaccinated player, that's a different situation, but still a dangerous one for the team. But it's one player out of your entire roster. But when it's like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 cats, shit like that, bruh, y'all gonna suck this year if one of y'all get infected. Because if one of y'all get infected, that shit's gonna pass around the whole team on a stagger too. So you're just gonna keep losing pieces of your team as you go through the weeks that you can't. So then what? You're gonna suck, and then your ass gonna get fired, head coach. And then that big contract that the running back wanted or the receiver wanted, that shit ain't coming. You only played half the season. Your ass was out with COVID the other half. You know what I mean? Like it can throw a monkey wrench into a cat's career if it hits worst case scenario. So, that's where I really get annoyed when people look at this and say they're forcing the players. They're not forcing the players, but they letting the players know we're not helping you if you have a cluster of unvaccinated players and they start the domino effect that starts to just slowly throughout the course of the season just break down your team. That's on y'all. Y'all gonna pay for it too. And if we got to cancel the game, then it's a loss, and you losing draft position, and you losing salary cap space. Probably on top of that. Well, they might. They might do it if it's egregious. They might do it, and that's how crazy it can get. That's what I'm telling y'all. Let's see here. Man, all these comments, where these damn super chats at? Shit. I'm giving y'all knowledge right now. Okay. Let's see. Somebody said society sucks anyway. Hey, well then why are you why are you watching a live stream? You should be in the woods. Vax ain't free. Someone is paying for it. I mean, of course. Come on. I don't think the NFL is willing to sacrifice the many for the one. Oh, hell no. They'll just cut that motherfucker. Look, and this is where cats like Cole Beasley needs to be careful. You're not a superstar player on that team. You are not. You keep talking out loud about how you ain't doing this, you ain't doing that, and to his credit, to be fair, he hasn't said anything that I know of in the last 24 hours since this whole thing kind of hit. He hasn't said anything. He would be smart to not say a word, because right now I can tell you what those coaches and the front office people are talking about in Buffalo. They already looking for the replacement for him. I guarantee it. They looking for a replacement. I don't even know, what is his contract looking like. Who knows what his contract looks like right now? Does anybody know? Let me pull it up. I'll tell you right now what his situation is. I'll tell you right now what that boy's situation is. Okay, 4 years, $29 million. Hold on, let me see this. Hold on. I'm gonna tell y'all exactly what this boy contract. No, don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. That contract is not a big contract for a receiver at all. And when did he sign it? Oh, what? And let me guess, it's backloaded. Yeah, it's all backloaded. All the money is going to be in the back. All of it's going to be in the back. Yeah, they'll cut this in a heartbeat. For Josh Allen to not have to run the risk of potentially getting infected by this cat. Understand that right now if you are a fan of the Buffalo Bills. They will cut this deal in a heartbeat. They will cut this. This is nothing to them. What's his cap hit? $7 million. Oh, they'll take that. They will take that hit any day of the week. They'll trade him to make sure that, because if he's dead set on not getting the vaccine, I can promise you they're going to get rid of this. Damn it. Damn it. This stupid fucking ad shit out of my face. But no, listen, guys, I'm just being 100 with y'all. I give it to you, 100. That's me. I'm going to tell you what I know based on my experiences. The NFL and the Buffalo Bills are not afraid at all to cut a player who is not a star player, who is over 30 years old. He's now 32 at the slot where he was in his prime, at the top of his prime 2 years ago. They will cut this guy. And they will take the loss, or they'll trade him. It's a trade now. At this point, it's a trade. Maybe if he takes a stance and it's coming around to football season, because they're just now in training camp, but they'll let that go. That's not a big chunk for them to suffer through. It's really not. It's really not. Just to be fair. It's not funny, but it's funny, in my opinion. It's a cold fever, so it's real, but it's being disguised as a deadly spreading virus. Bruh. I got a best friend who died from that, dude. He was only, 4 years older than me? 5 years older than me? No. 4 years older than me? He died. He gave it to me the second time I had it. It's real. And it is deadly. And honestly, I feel like it's a coin flip. Because the first time I had it, which I now know that's what it was, because I got tested later after he gave it to me the second time. My friend who died from it. The first time, I never been that sick before in my fucking life. Ever. I don't get sick. I haven't been sick for longer than 24 hours as long as I can remember. But on that shit, and I'm not even going to tell you the story because the story is a long one, and it hurt. I've never been nervous about whether or not I should go to a hospital or not before in my life as I was last February. February 16th. I walked 10 feet and was like, I cannot breathe. I was in my couch, buried in my couch for like 4 days. My phone died. I didn't care. The only thing I did was get up, walk 15 feet to the bathroom downstairs, use the bathroom, and then go back to the right, walk 15 feet right back to that couch and collapse back into it. Cause I was like delusionally sick. And I didn't tell nobody about that shit. Cause I was like, cause this was like, I was hearing little rumblings about COVID, but I didn't, but it hadn't hit here yet. It was still about another week to 10 days off before it started really hitting. It was like early February, first half of February. Early half of February. I ain't got no underlying health issues. Shit. If anything, my immune system is immaculate. Like, I don't get sick. I ain't been sick since then. Since the 2 times I had it last year, I've not even been sick. Not once. Not nothing. And before that, I hadn't been sick. I mean, shit. One time I felt feverish for like 3 hours, and that was being sick to me. That was like years ago. Like, I don't get sick. And this shit literally collapsed my ass for 4 days. And honestly, for 2 weeks, I was not right. I started like walking across my living room again at like day 7. And I was still like dead tired by the time I walked across the living room, holding on to the damn kitchen table. Cause I'm like, damn, I can barely breathe. It's not no joke, man. The shit is real. Y'all are, and other than my close friends who I've told the entire story to, y'all the only people that have heard me talk about my first experience with what I now know was COVID. I knew it was something bad. I was like, I've never felt like this in my life. I was sitting on my couch trying to sit up. I was laying on my couch trying to sit up, and I was just like, and just this huge cough where my whole chest, I felt like there was some shit in my lungs. I was like, what the fuck? I spit it out into a towel and it's yellow as shit. I'm like, oh shit. That is definitely, I'm sick. So I was like, I'm definitely sick. So, you know, I've had it, dude. Cold fever is just, you're either a troll or you're the dumbest motherfucker this side of the Mason-Dixie, because the shit is real as motherfucking heart as a heart attack. And you know, you can take it how you wanna, but until you actually felt what that shit feels like, and I mean, and I ain't even have it as bad as some people that I know when they talked about their experience. They were like in the emergency room, some of them. Shoot. Anyways, what else? What's going on over here? What you guys talking about? Instead of people eating poison and living an unhealthy lifestyle. Yeah, all that stuff you're saying is 100% true, but it don't mean shit, because I have a great immune system. I've never had the flu. I have a very strong immune system, and that shit didn't matter. It's still when you receive a virus that your body has never ever seen. It's never seen this kind of virus. It goes on a full-on assault on anything that is associated with that virus. And in COVID's case, the COVID virus attaches to a receptor in your lungs that actually dictates your blood pressure, your heart rate, your kidney functions, and your liver functions. The ACE2 receptor. It controls and incubates in the ACE2 receptor. So your entire like your nervous system, well, not your nervous system, your vital organs, your vital system operations are under the control of the virus, and it ramps up your immune system to a level that if you don't have a strong one, those are the ones who die. And if you have a strong one, you still can die, because it can cause you to have a heart attack, and it can cause you to have liver failure. It can cause you to have kidney failure. You know, and that ain't got nothing, and those things have nothing to do with whether or not you have a healthy lifestyle and whether it can overload those vital organs and cause them to fail. I mean, come on, man. This is all, you know, it's, you know, and I'm not no scientist. I'm not no biology shit. I just read up on some of the scientific studies on it just to see how it operates, how it actually works in the system. Why does it fuck you up like that? And it don't matter if you're healthy in some cases. It don't matter. You may have an underlying issue that you have no idea even exists, that you have never even shown on a test. And that could be what gets triggered by a complete overloading of your entire immune system. Not just, you know, your immune system running hot. Your immune system is running on damn near overkill. So, you know, if your body can't hold up, then, you know, it can cause issue. It can cause for you to die. It can. And, you know, one of my good buddies was in the hospital. I mean, damn, how long was Mello in the hospital? He was so messed up off COVID. He was so messed up off it. And they ended up finding out for some reason what he had an ACL surgery like 2 years before that. And the doctors like ran all these tests because he started hallucinating. This dude started like seeing shit, like, and it was COVID. It was the COVID. The virus was fucking with his body. And because of the way he rehabbed his knee, I remember when he went and got the surgery, I was at his house the day before he went and did it, but this was like years prior to this even. But the way he rehabbed his knee, his ACL tear, the way he rehabbed it, something that had to do with his muscular, his muscles and the receptors into his nervous system and all these different, I don't even remember how he said it, But he said it was something about the way they said because he didn't do something with his rehab to strengthen up those muscles in his leg enough, in the nerve or in the parts of your nervous system that connect into your muscles, like where that transition is. They said that's what caused the COVID to run like rampant in his body. Like he had to go to the hospital like 3 or 4 times, and I'm not putting his name out there, but a good friend of mine, if he's watching, I think he watches the channel. I think he shared all this stuff as well online, but he was jacked up from this thing for like months on months. Like he said he lost his balance like entirely. Like he would stand up, take 3 steps, fall down. He would have he said he was driving home and he would start hallucinating while he was driving because the fever was just like kicking his ass, or all these different things. But he struggled with it for months. So it's a motherfucking problem for some people, man. Like you can't deny that. If you don't want people to, if you want, I always look at it like this. If you want people to respect your decision not to get vaccinated or something like of that nature, then you need to respect that the shit is for real. Like that it's not no fucking this ain't no hoax. This ain't no overly dramatic thing. The shit is real. Like it just depends on who you are. You know what I mean? It depends on how you react. Let's see. What's everybody talking about? COVID is no joke. We lost my godson's grandfather and this is from RC. RC, man, sorry to hear that. COVID is no joke. We lost my godson's grandfather who chose me to be a grandparent to the virus, and an uncle was hospitalized for 33 days, 25 days on a respirator. Fuck. That's crazy. That's crazy. You've had all the symptoms of COVID, Adam Cobb. All right, you're the expert, dude. So just be the expert and let us talk amongst ourselves since we're the non-experts. Was your O2 level below 60%? Did you lose taste for months? Did you have thickened heart lining from it? Yeah, what is that? I think it's called endocarditis. Endocarditis was found in 35% of Big Ten players who tested positive for COVID. So they actually have enlarged hearts now. Not enlarged hearts, inflamed hearts. So they have a heart inflammation disorder. So what that means is they're going to have heart problems later. Like they're going to probably die from heart problems later because they caught a condition from COVID. These are young athletes, young Big Ten athletes. 35% that tested positive have endocarditis or myocarditis. My bad, myocarditis. Myocarditis, heart inflammation syndrome. So, those people, these are people who are going to be affected by it in decades. And no one will in that time, no one will know that it was because of COVID-19 that happened. But that's what it's going to be. That's in all likelihood, that's how they're going to, that's what their life is going to, that's what they're going to be dealing with. Let's see here. You want the right to spread COVID to kids under 12 and people who can't have the shot. Your mask is to stop you from spreading COVID if you're asymptomatic. True. All because you feel it's okay to give COVID to someone who isn't in the tip-top health, engaging in eugenics. Damn. Fortunately, people don't do research, don't care about facts, only care about the narratives. What are the narratives? What are the narratives? I would like some Adam, what are the narratives? What is the narrative? Like, these are the things that I find confusing about this whole divisiveness over this stuff over the last year. Hey, everybody, wear a mask. Don't catch it. Stay inside. Instead, allow us, the pharmaceutical industry and Gov, to give it to you. Okay, again, what is the narrative? Have you read the preamble to the Constitution of the United States of America? You know what the preamble says? The preamble says that the United States government's sole purpose is to protect and provide for the general well-being of its citizens. That is an obligation. That is not a choice. It is the government's literal obligation to make sure that its population does not suffer substantial losses due to a virus pandemic spreading around. That is literally written in the preamble to the United States Constitution. So what exactly is the problem here? If you're a constitutionalist, then this is what you expect your government to do, correct? You tell me, man, because, I mean, there is a pandemic. What is it then? If it's not a pandemic, what is it? You see what's happening in Japan? You think Japan doesn't have a constitution like the United States? India? South America? Come on, dude. Like, logic. That's all I'm asking. Logic. I'm not even telling you to pick a side. I'm just telling you, be real about it. I'm telling everybody, be real about it. Stop fronting. Like, stop fronting on thinking that this thing is something that is no big deal. Because every country, whether we like it or not, is dealing with it in their own way. But every country is also having issues when they try to, like, open things up and just let people live their lives. People start fucking it up because, one, they won't get vaccinated. Two, they think there's some narrative or some kind of conspiracy that the vaccine is somehow going to make them traceable or some shit by the government. Like, get the fuck, who gives a fuck? You got a phone in your hand, you're on a fucking laptop, you're on the internet, they know where you are. They've always known where you are. They will always know where you are, and they can find you if they want to find you. It does not matter. Does not matter. What do you think freedom is? Because freedom is you can walk out your door and go drive off a cliff. That's freedom. You can walk out your door. You can walk into a fucking business. You can shoot that bitch up. That's freedom. So what are you losing by getting a vaccine that the government that is constitutionally bound to protect and provide for your well-being? What are you losing? What is it that you lose once you get the shot? Tangibly, what do you lose? People are dying at normal rates. What does that mean? What does that mean? See, if you're going to talk to me about something, be specific and cite information. Don't just say death rates are normal. Well, what's the normal death rate, man? And how is that compared to 6 months ago? Because last I saw, Florida in particular has jumped to 4 times the amount of reported cases in that they reported at the beginning of this month. They're now reporting 4 times the amount, at 4 times the amount all through the month. They've quadrupled their reporting. No, I'm sorry. They've quadrupled their reported infections since February. They've quadrupled it, the average. What are you talking about? Tell me what death rate is normal. Let's see. People dying. Search death trends. Death trends. What death trends? COVID death trends? It's about the economy. Yeah, we agree on that. It is about the economy. I said that. I said, like, when I talked about this whole situation with the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys, the NFL, if you're going to blame anybody for what the situation that they're putting their coaches and their players in right now, blame capitalism. Because that's the reason why all of this is going the way it's going. That's the reason why you got one side fighting the other. This is a free market. Motherfuckers got to make their money. Motherfuckers got to make their money. So they are going to make sure they going to get their money. And they don't, and you're either gonna be able to make yours or not. So what you choosing? That's the bottom line. How you gonna feed your family? You gonna be so hard-headed as to just say, you know, I'm not doing the vaccine. Fuck my job. Fuck my entire livelihood. I'm gonna go live in the woods. All right. Hope you got enough to last. Cause it's gonna be a hard sell to get another job when they ask you if you're vaccinated and you say no. I mean, that's what it's going to get to, because private companies have, you know, and this is me telling you what I'm seeing when I say this. This is me telling you what I'm seeing when I say this. The free market dictates that competition and the bottom line through competition, you know, creates the hierarchy of power in these different sectors of different industries in the country, right? So if you're a company that requires a workforce, which right now, because of the pandemic, a lot of people are like, fuck going back to that low paying job. So people are there's actually a lot of job openings, but people ain't even going for them. And if you're a company that has worked through this entire last year and a half and kind of worked, you know, to try to kind of let people, you know, do their thing, not require a vaccine once it came out, and let workers, you know, let things kind of calm down and people get back to work. Well, now you're seeing that the same shit that happened last year is beginning to show it's about to hit an uptick again amongst parts of the population. So you're not trying to do no closing down no more. And the only way you can make sure that you ain't gonna close down your business is to make sure that everybody who works in your business or comes in your business is vaccinated. At least then you're guaranteeing yourself some money, because if you let anybody come in and an outbreak starts in your business, then you got to shut down. Now you get no money. So what's going to be the best course of action if I'm a business owner? And I say, well, I would rather know that I can at least make money than to risk having to shut my business down because of one person potentially who is not vaccinated, who comes in and causes an outbreak amongst, let's say, another group of people in the building who are also unvaccinated. And, you know, all these people are having a good time, drinking, eating food, yada, yada, yada. Nobody knows that they're just literally spreading this thing around to each other all in the same room. And then you even get, let's say you got 10 people who are vaccinated in there. 3 of them catch it. So now they're sick, and maybe one of them, maybe, unlikely, but maybe one of them shows like mild symptoms, feels a little sick, but still, that's an inconvenience for them, right? But for the business owner, you might have to shut down. What if your whole staff is unvaccinated and one of them catches it and passes it around? Now you just got all these issues you got to deal with. So capitalism is not compatible with this shit unless you're vaccinated, because people don't want to take the risk of having to shut their shit down. The financial markets are tanking because of the hesitancy that's being caused about the vaccinations. So now, because now they're seeing numbers that are beginning to skyrocket in places where the majority of people aren't vaccinated, and that's starting to affect these companies' bottom lines. So they're going to go ahead and start selling off to get ready for it. They're not going to get caught off guard like they were last time. So you're seeing some parts of the stock market go down. But even at that, who gives a fuck about the stock market? Why do you care about the stock market? That's really not even an indication of how the country's actually doing. but it's a good indicator of what's about to come on the ground, on Main Street, so they say. Because when those people start pulling their money out and start putting it in bonds instead of buying shares, it's because they about to hunker down. They're not going to wait for it this time. You didn't say stock market. Okay, got you. My bad. Then disregard me using the stock market. But the economy is suffering right now because people, I believe that people figured out something when there was, the lockdown, and when even after the initial lockdown, when people were just kind of like not really moving around. I mean, look at like, and and this is going to be a funny example, but look at OnlyFans. Shit. People found a way to make money. People found a way to make more money than they were making at their job with things like OnlyFans. You know what I mean? With all these different people people really started to get their hustle on in this country because there wasn't no other option. And yes, there was getting a benefit from the government, but a lot of times people were taking that benefit from the government and trying to flip that. You know what I mean? Like people were trying to flip it to get more money. Like they started finding their own little hustles and they started making money. Why would I go back to a job that was only paying me $10 an hour when I made, 5 times that in a yearly salary or 2 times that in a yearly salary by, slanging these fucking baseball cards. Shit, I know cats who were slanging baseball cards during the pandemic and getting bread. They was getting bread. I was like, yo, it's like going to these trade shows, going to these online trade shows and just buying these cards and selling them off. I was like, shoot, it's crazy. It's crazy. Okay, what the reports of spike cases doesn't report is how many of those people are 65 plus or had comorbidities. What the fuck did you type? And how many were hospitalized and how many went home and recuperated. That's not the point, dude. That's not the point. This is the point. This is what you're missing, I think, in that. I think what you're missing is it's not about, it is about how many people die. Obviously, I don't want anybody to die from the virus, but obviously you want to keep that number as low as possible. And, that is at face value, we want to keep that number low, but it's not about how old they were. That's literally irrelevant. It's not about how old they were, dude. It's about once you start a fire, it spreads. And that is what they're trying to avoid. It has nothing to do with how old people are. It has to do with we cannot let another outbreak threaten our healthcare system or threaten our hospital systems, because once that happens, things begin to crumble, and that's the domino that starts the crumbling. It's about stopping the fire. You want to keep the fire contained. You don't want it to spread. And the Delta variant I don't even know how many times more it is contagious than the original one. But the shit is like a fucking what do they call them? It's like a chemical fire. The Delta variant's the chemical fire version of this shit. You know what I mean? Like the Delta version's like the chemical fire. Once that shit spreads, and you can't even put it out with the damn water. Shit, you gotta let that burn out, and that's the problem. They don't want another outbreak that spreads, especially in a state where there's a vast majority that aren't vaccinated. That is where it becomes a true problem. Because once that variant catches hold like that, think of last year when we were at a point where motherfuckers were dropping like 5,000, 10,000 a day. Like that shit was crazy. And that was just the original one. And from what I've read, to be fair, from what I've read, I don't know how this is being reported, but I read that even with the vaccine, and I think they were talking about, I think what I read was talking about the Pfizer vaccine, they still do not really know how effective it is against the Delta. But one number that I saw that was quite alarming to me, just because that means there's a decent enough chance that you can catch that and get fucked up, is that even with the vaccine, from what they've been able to at least count, even with the fully vaccinated person, you still have a 35% chance of catching the Delta variant. So it's really only 65% effective against the Delta variant from early indications, which means that could be right back at square one if the shit goes left too fast. Oh my God. I'll tell you what, man, I trust in my body. I trust in my body because, I mean, I know my body is strong because I've dealt with it's been finely tuned for decades. And I would say in the last like 3 years, I've just kind of like, I don't work out nearly as much as I used to, but I still work out a couple times a week. And even in my good health, that shit knocked me out for 2 weeks. Somebody who don't get sick. Like, that's what it did. That shit knocked me out. I can't even explain. That's what it did. It knocked me straight on my ass. And I mean, I couldn't, and mentally I'm able to just push through being any kind of weird feeling way. But that shit, I could not. I had no will to. I could not even move. I remember laying on my couch, turning my head, looking over the edge of the couch and seeing my phone there. I reached out my hand, hit the power button to turn it on, and it was dead. And I just put it back on the ground and turned my head back around and was back out. I think I woke up that night and I mean, sweating, hot and cold at the same time. It was rough, boy. It was rough. It was rough for me. A rep for Miami General stated a few days ago that about 70% of their new COVID intakes were under the age of 40 and unvaxxed. The age issue is moot now. Yeah, the age issue doesn't mean anything. This Delta variant is different. It don't mean nothing. Age don't mean nothing. The Delta variant is just real. The original COVID, the OG COVID, OG COVID, hey, if you over 60, danger. But even at that, still danger for other people if you ain't, if you got underlying health issues. But that's always going to be how it is with any sickness. If you got underlying health issues, there's going to be more problems there. If you get, deathly sick, there's going to be more problems because of those underlying issues. So, that's going to be an issue in any case when you have but a virus specifically, a virus literally just tries to absorb everything it touches. Those scenes in India 2 months ago is all you need to see. Really, that was post-apocalyptic. Like, they're talking about people in India were having like black lung or some shit like that after they were infected, after the infection went, ravaged their system. I don't know what that's about. But I mean, look, it's nobody is going to be exactly the same in how they react to this thing. The percentages are what they are, but think about that for a second. Like, I think the average infection rate for all age groups combined, the average survival rate of all age groups combined is 98.5%. All combined ages, your survival rate is 98.5%. That's the average. That's still like 2 million people. You know what I mean? Like, out of 400 million, that's still like 2 million people. You know what I mean? So it's like not even that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. Just 2%. So, I mean, it is what it is. But as far as businesses are concerned, like the NFL, I think the NFL is putting itself in a situation that it feels like it needs to be in because they got some money to make, and that's what it is. That's what it is for them. That's what it is for them. Now, here's something else that I wanted to talk about to end off the stream. And, I think this one is a little bit different because I have a little knowledge on this myself just from a personal standpoint. But this is something that people are putting up and talking about in response to Sha'Carri Johnson. I believe that's her last name, right? Sha'Carri Johnson? Yeah. Sha'Carri Richardson, I'm sorry. Sha'Carri Richardson, obviously, everybody knows her story. She is missing out of the Olympic Games because she failed for weed. She owned up to it. She took responsibility. She was accountable. She, basically said that she's human. She made a mistake. It is what it is. The circumstances surrounding it, obviously, family member died. Her biological mother died. Who blames her? I don't blame her. I don't think anybody really blames her for doing it. I just think that, people, obviously, she knew that there was a chance that she would fail a piss test when she did that, and that's what happened. So she didn't get to go to the Olympics. There's obviously some argument there as to whether or not, it was fair. I mean, no, it's not fair, but it's the rules, and that's what the fuck we dealing with. But today, this was posted by Women Grow on Instagram. I think there's a little bit of nuance to this, but the sentiment, as I understand it, I agree with, because this should never be for a organization that claims that the rules are the rules, which I agree with as well. This should never be something that is openly promoted at the Olympics, if that is the case. Now, is it just that simple? I don't think it is. Because if you look at this and you read this and you take your eyes off of this stupid fucking title that Forbes put on here that really doesn't make sense when you read what's going on down here, it says cannabis takes the world stage at the Tokyo Olympics, which, I mean, I almost feel like they did that on purpose. Why would you even say this knowing the discussion around cannabis as it pertains to Sha'Carri Richardson, and now you're going to throw this up in the air in front of her face? Like, that is, in my opinion, a little bit fucked up. But let's read into it. Women Grow. For the first time in the Olympics' 125-year modern history, elite athletes are being open about their use of cannabis products to prepare them for the world's biggest stage in sports. Leading the charge is Olympic gold medalist and U.S. Soccer Women's National Team star Megan how do you say her name? Rapinoe. I'm sorry, Megan Rapinoe, who incorporates CBD into her training routine using products from Mendi, a company founded by her sister Rachel Rapinoe and Brett Schwager. I'll be honest, this is some bullshit. I get it, but it's some bullshit. Now, with that being said, let's break it down a little bit. Cannabis. When you say cannabis, that is weed. That is THC weed, right? CBD is cannabinoid, but it is not cannabis. They're not molecularly the same thing. They're not the same plant. They're the same plant species, but they are not the same plant. I actually am involved with CBD products, and hold on. If you guys would like to know which kind, this is one that I'm a partner in. Lilu Farms. This is in Savannah, Georgia. We have a number of different products. We got this is our Delta 8 Moon Rocks. So these are not the same. These are not the same plants. Molecularly, they are different. All cannabinoid plants have a level of THC in them, but you grow them and they do not. They do not actually bloom THC buds. These are not. These are not the same. And I'm sure that I'm sorry. I'm sure that Megan Rapinoe knows that as well. I'm sure that Rachel Rapinoe knows that as well. But these women grow, and Forbes magazine have put out there in really the most like covertly indignant way that these women are promoting cannabis in the sense of marijuana, which will be a direct slap in the face and hypocritical to no end, especially considering what happened to Sha'Carri Robinson. Why do I keep saying that? Sha'Carri Richardson. And why do I keep saying that? Damn. But I think that the problem here is that this brings back to the forefront the situation with how things are represented when one side does it and how things are represented when another side does it. And I also find it very ironic because of where the Olympics is that they would use this kind of word using cannabis. They would have use this kind of vocabulary to describe what this product and what the movement of this product is and how and what it's supposed to represent. Because Japan, in whole, Japan is not favorable to marijuana in any way. They are not. And don't let this get it twisted. If you walk around with CBD products that look like marijuana in Japan, they will take your ass to jail, and they don't care. A weed conviction in Japan, one weed conviction is a year in prison. One, they do not. Reputations, political careers have been ruined in Japan from the simple exposure that someone was smoking weed. It is so literally stigmatized. It's stigmatized in Japan the way it was stigmatized in the US back in the 80s. That's how it is in Japan right now when it comes to weed. So take this from somebody who was in Japan trying to find weed. And guess who came through for your boy? The Nigerians. Yeah, buddy. They got me some. Woo! But even them, they were like, brother, listen to me. Listen to me, You dare not take that outside and smoke it. Oh, police see you, they'll take you to jail. They'll take you straight to jail. First time, 1 year. And that's when I was like, okay. Say less. But I think that this is tone deaf, and it's tone deaf, it's misleading, and on top of that, it is a slap in the face to the whole situation with Sha'Carri Richardson. It really is. It really is, because on her end, what you're promoting cost her Olympic career, which, to be fair, is her own fault, but that is not the point. The point is knowing that this is going to be something that's posted online, at the very least, you want to emphasize that it's not marijuana. And when you say cannabis, that's marijuana. Women grow. Like that. Can you imagine how that looks to Sha'Carri Robinson? Sha'Carri Richardson. Why do I keep saying that? It's Friday. Maybe that's why. But I imagine that anyone here watching can kind of understand where that can be. You can feel disrespected by that. I would feel disrespected by that. Why are y'all promoting cannabis at the Olympics when y'all just literally told me I couldn't go to the Olympics because of cannabis? Like, what's up? I get that. I understand that 100% if somebody says that to me. Because it's kind of fucked up. Now, people on here obviously are, you know, a lot of people are saying the same thing, to be honest. A lot of people are saying the same thing. A lot of people are looking at it and saying, hey, this is kind of, it seems a little bit hypocritical to have this being promoted by Forbes when, you know, we already know that probably the best track athlete that we have on the women's side is not here because of this. Like, and it's being actively promoted by a international news organization and an online, you know, cannabis growing web account. So, you know, not exactly, doesn't seem exactly like rules are rules. And, you know, people are coming out and saying it. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to, like, you know, I don't want to go too far on it, but, you know, that does seem like I'm not saying it 100% is, but it seems like some racist shit, like some racially insensitive shit. Like on you, even, and maybe I'm reaching a little bit there, but it's still weird. It feels like there's this makes it feel like there's two different sets of operating protocols. Because how are they in Japan actually like, how are they in Japan doing this? Like, it don't make no sense. Like, they're in Japan promoting cannabis, says Forbes. Even though we know this is CBD, and for the uninitiated, that doesn't mean a damn thing. But for those who understand it, you look at this and you read it, and then you see, oh, CBD. It's not weed. It's not marijuana. It's hemp. It's the hemp plant, which is the difference. They're hemp plant and marijuana plants, two different plants. Same species, two different plants. That's crazy to me. I don't know how, I mean, I feel like that's at the least distasteful, very distasteful. And at the worst, at the most, it is, you know, at the most, I would say it's hypocritical and bias. Absolutely. And a lot of it has to do with how it's being framed, which is the big problem. That's how it's being framed is the big problem. It's being framed as cannabis, even though it's not. But people, 85% of the people who look at this will only look at this. They won't read through all this. They'll look through this, and then they'll make their comment, and then they'll read this, and then they'll say same thing, and they'll make more comments. So that's how the domino effect kind of just starts with that as well. So I always feel like, you know, if people aren't able to like see consistency, both in how you apply the rules and how you present and frame the rules and the consequences of them, and how you frame the same sort of topic. I mean, it's a mess. It's a mess. It's a mess. I don't like this. It's bull. They shouldn't have did it. They shouldn't have done it. They should have known better, I feel like. But hey, that's how motherfuckers gonna be when it comes to money. Because what's gonna happen? Why are they getting this exposure? Forbes magazine? Because that means they're gonna get sponsors. That means they're gonna get investors. That means they're gonna get more money. Again, it boils down to capitalism, baby. Capitalism. They doing it because they gonna get bread off it. They at the Olympics. Why wouldn't they do it? Of course they're going to do it. They want that bread. So you got to keep that shit in your mind when you're thinking about why are things happening the way they happening. It ain't no conspiracy. It's bread, motherfuckers. It's money. People want money. They want money. It ain't got nothing to do. A lot of times it has very little to do with anything else outside of money. That's what I've learned in my life. It don't matter white, black, green, yellow. When you pull that bread out, it don't matter what you look like to a motherfucker. You got bread, you're good. If you don't, now you can start going through all the other shit and saying da 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 da. But my money beats my race 9 times out of 10. I can do business with motherfuckers because of the money. That's how it's, that's how it works. That's what I've observed in my life. Hey, so that's why Megan Rapinoe and her sister, Rachel Rapinoe, are sitting on the front of a Forbes article promoting CBD and cannabis, quote unquote, products, because they're going to get bread. I tell you what, if I was Sha'Carri Richardson, I'd be trying to motherfucking get with one. Try and get in one of these grows. Get lined up with one of these companies that's doing, legal grows in legal states and be their spokesperson. Shoot, they get paid off that because they making tip top bread too, and they doing it in cash because they can't take it to a bank. Shit, no more taxes. Shoot. Oh, yeah. That's that on that. Ooh. I'm just gonna scroll through here. I want to see what some folks are saying, because I know I rarely read through a ton of like people's like takes, just because you kind of know where it's going. But it's worth it to at least look at this. Remember when Sha'Carri Richardson was suspended from the Olympics for marijuana use, when inevitably marijuana companies will soon be branding products inspired by the Olympics or advertising on and profiting off the Olympics athletes guaranteed. Branding products inspired by the Olympics. I don't know about that. That would be an intellectual property situation there, with the Olympics being something that is actually trademarked, or advertising on and profiting off Olympic athletes. Now that is going to happen. And I mean, hell, if that's going to happen, Sha'Carri Robinson should be making the most money out of, why do I keep saying Robinson? Damn it. Sha'Carri Richardson should be making more money than any Olympic athlete that there is in the world if it comes to, getting deals with, or getting marketing or spokesperson, or getting any kind of deal with any cannabis company in this country. She should be the highest paid one. Oh, we got another super chat in here. Yay. Another super chat. Patrick McRae for $4.99. Appreciate it, brother. He says, thanks for your channel. We may disagree on a couple of issues, but I respect your point of view, insight, and experience. One of my fave channels. Hey, man, thank you very much, dude. I appreciate that. I really do. I've got friends and I've got people that I hold close to my heart that are from all different, walks of life, man. Like, I don't have I have no ill will towards anybody, and I appreciate you guys for being an audience to me, because, I love to chat when I feel like I'm comfortable. I feel like I'm in a space where people are gonna talk, don't get mad if I see something one way, you see it another, or get mad. You can get mad. You can put it in the chat. Just stick to the arguments. You know what I mean? Like, stick to the argument and make your point, and then we can talk about that. I got no problem with that ever. I don't judge people for their opinions. I don't care what your politics are. I never have. I'll tell you what mine are if I feel like it. Usually my politics are they revolve around me, like around what I feel. I don't have any principles based on what other people or other groups of people believe. My principles are based on what I believe in from how I have experienced the world in my way. So I don't, those are the things that have molded my principles. Nothing about, politics has molded my principles ever in my life. Because to me, that is backwards. Like, politics doesn't influence me. I choose my own politics based on my life experience. And that's, and maybe everybody does it that way. Maybe I'm being full of myself and everybody does it that way. I don't know. But that's how I do it. That's how I do it. So I appreciate you, Patrick, for being in here, man. And you can always come in here and have a different take or different position and not feel like you're going to be banned or anything like that, because you won't, unless you're just being disrespectful to other people in the chat. This is a free forum to talk however the fuck you want, except for when it affects or when it's directed at somebody else in a negative fashion. And when I say negative, I don't mean not talk. There can be a certain level of shit talk. There can be. I don't have a problem with that. But everybody knows where shit talk stops being shit talk. So don't step over that line and start taking things to and being intentionally insultive towards another person. That's when I get involved. And even then, like, I'm not trying to like keep somebody from ever coming back and seeing, me do anything. I'll just be like, hey, chill the fuck out. Or I'll start doing this. But, I try to just let people do what they do. If you've ever seen, if you've ever been on my Facebook page, especially on an election year, because that's usually the only time I'm on Facebook is during an election year, because I love to get on Facebook and troll the fuck out of everything and everybody. And I piss a lot of people off, and it is fun. I actually enjoy it. So, if you've ever seen my Facebook page, then I let people talk. And I let people get down and dirty in the mud until they cross that very thin line of now you're making it personal. That's me. That's me. That's me. So, yeah, my Facebook is down until election seasons. That's the only time you'll see me like being active and, maybe multiple times a day. Maybe. Facebook is weird, man. Facebook will suck you the fuck in. One time, I swear, I was on Facebook. This shit was crazy to me. One time I was on Facebook, it was like, I don't know, maybe like 8 in the morning, 9 in the morning. No, it wasn't that early. I think it was like 11 in the morning. I was on Facebook. This was just this past election cycle. I'm like, and there's like all these different messages from cats, and I'm going back and forth, yada, yada, yada. And it's just like all day long. And I look up, and I swear to you, it's 8 p.m. I was like, I have been in the Matrix. That's what that was. That's why I call all this social media shit is just the Matrix. That's you plugging in and you live in there for a minute and then you unplug. Some people live in there entirely too much. But hey, I keep tabs on it daily, but I don't dive deep into it. I don't dive. Once you dive deep, once you let yourself get pulled deep into it, it can be a fucking, it can suck your entire day. Man, I got up at like 8 p.m. I get out of my chair and I'm like, I don't even think I've said a word today. I don't think I've actually talked verbally, opened my mouth and said a word this entire day. And that's when I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm going to chill for a few days. I'll come back to this shit later. And I just got off it, and didn't get back on for probably like 2 or 3 more days. I just was like, whatever. But, you know, it's, there is, you know, these are the things that once you like look at this stuff and come to grips with it not being real, like to me, this shit is not real. Twitter is not real. None of that shit is real to me. Because when I walk outside and leave my crib, a lot of the shit that people will be talking about and be whining about on Twitter, I don't never see none of it in my real, and I don't never see none of like the crybaby shit when I go outside. I'm not saying it don't happen. I'm just saying I don't see it as much as I see it on Twitter, because people on Twitter want to talk and be noticed. People on Facebook want to talk and be noticed. People on Instagram want to take pictures and talk and be noticed. You know, so people are putting up the most embellished versions of everything a lot of times on social media. But if you go out your door and walk to the store and just be amongst people, relative easiness. You know what I mean? Even when you know somebody might be a fuckboy in real life, you know, you mind your business, they mind theirs, and you keep moving. And that's it. You don't really got to deal with, you know, it's not going to be like a tweet's going to pop in front of your face from the motherfucker. Where's your mask? You know what I mean? Like, maybe it's because I'm 6'4", 300 pounds. Maybe that's why. Because don't nobody say shit to me when I be out about nothing. Generally, about nothing. Nobody say nothing. And I know that. So I walk in that motherfucker's shoulders broad, like, motherfucker, say something. Who gonna say something? Who gonna say something? Ain't nobody finna say shit. Shoot. But, you know, maybe that's not for everybody, but for me here, I mean, I'm in Georgia too. Like, y'all gotta understand. In this area, out here, I'll tell you what, ain't shit shut down in Atlanta. Atlanta was rocking and rolling through the whole damn 2020, except during the day. During the day, you didn't really see, there were things that were closed. A lot of things were closed. But at night, the lights may not be on, just knock on the door. That shit's popping. That shit's popping. Whew. Sour. What's up, man? I see that. Thank you, man. No, yeah, all day, dude. You can come in here and, you know, you can voice your opinion in here. You don't got to worry about people. You know, people are not I'm not going to kick you out. I'm not going to call you out. We'll have a discussion. I might read your message. I'll especially read it if it's a super chat, but I might read your message and make a comment about it or talk about it. But, you know, even if I don't agree with it, I'm not going to kick you out of here. And I would assume that the audience will either debate with you or agree with you, but will not badger you. So, you know, that's kind of the environment that I feel is ideal. Everybody talk, everybody debate. That's fine. Argue, but, you know, understand where the boundaries are. That's all. That's all I ask. Anyways, that is going to be it for me on this Lineman Life live stream. Live stream. But I do appreciate you guys. I was thinking about doing another one of those, a couple more of those videos from last time. We only got 11 people in here though. Maybe if we were over 20, I'd probably do it. I was doing some videos on here, or I was reacting to some videos on here that I found to be very, very interesting. And these videos are from, you know, the 1950s debates, these 1950s high school debates with kids from different countries. And they talked about all of these different systems of thought that really, you know, when you get a group of people from all over the world together and they start talking about their different cultural differences, their governments, you know, they talk about racism. A lot of things they talk about. And last Friday, we did this as kind of a little add-on to the show because I didn't really have a whole lot to talk about from the sports world. So maybe next week we'll do another one of these because we've been talking for a long time tonight, and I'm done. But you know, the crowd liked it last week. You know, there were a bit more people in who really did enjoy it. So I'll probably plan on Fridays if it's a slow news day in the sports world and there's not a ton to talk about. I'll probably you know, throw one or two videos on to end the stream, but that's just to give you guys a look at what I was doing. I don't even know did y'all even see that? I don't think y'all saw that. Did y'all see that? Maybe not. Oh crap. Oh well. People who were here last week remember what I was doing. So anyways, appreciate you guys very much for being in here. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you smash that like button. Subscribe to the Observant Lineman, Uche Nwaneri, if you haven't already done so. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Safe weekend. Healthy weekend. Appreciate you all, and I will catch you all on the next one.